Good evening, guys. It's Gran here to read to you. There's going to be some words in the story that I might not say right. And I hope you've had a really good day and can listen to the story even if I don't say the words right. It's really nice to see you. I had a really nice day. There was pretty snow coming down and the fire is warm, and I went out and I shoveled some snow. And I want to show you my Christmas tree train. Are you ready? It's a little one. Here we go. Ooh, don't want to go too fast. There it is. Can you see that? Let me turn it on for you. Isn't that fun? It has a battery and it changes colors. It's not very big. You can see here's my hand and there's the tree. It's just for fun. And I bring it out at Christmas time. I'm going to shut it off now so you can hear the story. Okay, here we go. Oh, there. We'll leave ho, ho, ho Santa right there. And we'll come on back to me. Hi. All right, let's see if I can set this down so the light behind me doesn't blind you. I sure hope you had a good day. So who might be watching tonight? Well, there could be Yvette or Zachary or Taylor or Rhea or Brandon or Luke or Darlene or Bill or Daryl but I'm definitely hoping that my grandkids are watching because they're the reason I'm sharing Christmas stories with you guys. I don't get to read with them because we're not together this Christmas, and I have all kinds of fun stories I like to read to them. Tonight's story is called Hide and Sneak. And like I was saying, there are words in the story I might not say right, but I'm going to try. This book is written by Michael Arvaarluk, Kusugak, and it's illustrated, and the graphic design is by Vladyana, Krykorka. And it's printed by Annick Press, which has divisions apparently in Toronto, New York, and Vancouver. So the story begins. Its dedication, of course, is at the beginning here, and he tells a short story, a quick one, before the real story. He says, the Kusugak and the Kusugak. There once was an Kusugak who, like all other Kusugaks, loved to play hide and seek. But most of all, he liked to help little kids hide. And when he hid little kids, they were never ever found again. Hi, welcome. That is, of course, what Kusugaks do. They help you hide. And when they help you hide, no one ever finds you again. But our Kusugak was a little different from other Kusugaks. He was always getting lost. Whenever he went out to hide kids, he could not find his way home, and his friends teased him. Funny little Kusugak, getting lost among the rocks. Na, 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 na. He was so embarrassed. One day he decided to build an Kusugak, which is sometimes called an Kusugak, near his home. On a hill he piled big heavy rocks on top of each other until they looked like a man standing. Kusugaks were built in a long line to corral caribou to a place where they could be hunted. But our Kusugak used his to help him find his way home. and he never got lost again. And to this very day, that is what Kusugaks are used for, to help you find your way home. But that is another story. So here we begin our story for the night. Again, it's called Hide and Sneak. That's a different word, hey? One fine summer day, Alashua said, "I'm going out to play hide and seek, Mum." Her mother said, "Don't go away too far. An Ejirek might find you, and if an Ejirek hides you, no one will ever find you again." Do you ever get warned to be careful when you go out to play? Look at the beautiful artwork. This is a family that lives way in the north, where the days get to be really long in the summertime. "Yes, Mom," Alishua said, and went out of her tent, into the sunshine. Tiny flowers covered the ground, and the water on the lake behind her tent was so still she could see the sky in it. A loon made a long V in the water as it swam on the lake. On the sea in front of her tent, the floats on a net were lined up neatly in the still water. When all the floats are floating on the water, there are no fish in the nets. They were all floating. On a hill, an Kusugak stood quietly looking out over the land and sea. It had to stand quietly because it was made of rocks, piled one on top of the other to look like a man. Alishua looked at it and wondered why anyone would pile big, heavy rocks on top of each other to look like a man. She said to herself, "I'll have to remember to ask my father what it's for." But of course, she forgot. Have you ever seen an Inukshuk, we call them? Here's Alishua, and here's a duck, a loon, and it leaves a trail behind on the water. Look at all the different things in this picture. Do you see the tiny flowers? She ran off to play hide and seek with her friends. Alishua loved to play hide and seek, but she was not very good at it. As she skipped along looking for a place to hide, a bright yellow butterfly fluttered by, and Alishua ran after it, yelling, "Kwitsuk, kwitsuk, kwitutsuk." That, of course, is the way you make a butterfly so tired it will fall down so you can catch it. But soon Alishua got so tired she had to stop and sit down, and she forgot to hide. Alishua was not very good at hide and seek. She was having too much fun chasing butterflies, wasn't she? When Alishua was looking for a place to hide again, she came to a pond beside a rocky hill. Tiny, prickly fish darted across the pond floor and disappeared under a rock. She stopped to take a closer look. There was a big black bug crawling along the pond floor. It looked like a beetle just meandering along on its short black legs. Then there were tiny, teeny fish that she thought looked like they did not have any skin at all. She could see their skeleton and all their insides. They swam around just the same, without a care in the world. There were little round red bugs that moved about from here to there with no sign of any legs or fins. But she was most fascinated by the Ulika Palik, a tiny turtle-like creature in a fragile-looking shell. It had a pointy tail and swam along by tickling the water with many fingers on its underside. Alishua watched these bugs for a long time, and she completely forgot to hide again. See this picture? She's looking at a pond. Have you ever gone out in the springtime and looked at all the living things fluttering in the water in the pond? She has boots on so that she can step on the soft, soft tundra in the spring. Have you gone out on soft ground? I know some little girls that got stuck in some soft ground in the springtime. That would be your mom and aunties. And again, Alishua lost her turn. She was not very good at hide and seek. Later, when Alishua was looking for a place to hide, she came upon a nest of tiny baby birds. The baby birds lifted their tiny beaks up to her and chirped, cheep, 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 cheep. Alishua got on her knees and puckered up her lips and replied, cheep, 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 cheep. And from somewhere behind her, Alishua heard a voice, heard some whistling and a tiny voice singing, hide and sneak, how I love to hide and sneak. Do you see the tiny bird's nest? Do you see something behind Alishua? I see a bird in the sky. What else can you see in this picture? Do you see anything else? Hi, Yvette. Alishua looked around, but there was no one there. There were rocks and flowers and old squaw ducks on a lake, but they weren't whistling or singing. She scratched her head and went back to the little birds. She puckered up her lips again to talk to them, but behind her, there was the little voice again. Hide and sneak, how I love to hide and sneak. I hide and you seek, you won't find me for a week. Alishua looked around. She didn't see anybody, but she heard whistling and singing and laughing, like someone was having a good time. She looked, and finally, behind a big rock, she found a tiny little man. He was dressed in a fur coat that looked like ptarmigan feathers in summer. His brown legs were bare, and he had nothing on his feet at all. Like a ptarmigan in summer, he was very hard to see. Alishua knew she had met an Ejirek, a hide-and-seek creature. Look at the little man. And he's waving at her. What did her mom say? Do you think she remembers? Oh boy, the little man laughed and cackled and danced as he sang his little song. As soon as he saw Alishua, he skipped away to hide behind a rock. But as he did so, he tripped on a rock and went tumbling along the ground. Alishua laughed and ran after him. As he was a shy little man, but soon he began to play with Alishua. He loved to play hide and seek, and he was very good at it. Alishua said, I am not very good at hiding. The Ejirek said, I am very good at hiding. Let me help you. What's Elishua thought, this guy's an Ejirek. And my mother said if an Ejirek hides you, no one will ever find you again. But he is such a happy fellow, a happy, fun-loving little man. Elves don't hide you forever. Dwarves don't hide you forever. Leprechauns don't hide you forever. I think my mother is wrong, she said. Okay. Elishua and the Ejirek skipped up the hill with the Kusugak on it. As they skipped down the other side, the Ejirek tripped on a rock again and went tumbling down. Elishua laughed and laughed. He was so funny. They skipped and sang across a rocky field. They skipped around a lake. They skipped and danced through a big field of cotton grass. Finally, they came to a small creek with fish fins sticking up out of the water. As they stepped into the water to skip across, the fish jumped and water splashed everywhere. They skipped across and hid in a cave that Elishua had never seen before. Elishua looked around. She did not have the foggiest idea where they were. She asked, where are we? I have never seen this place before. Here they are playing in the hill and the fields before they got to the cave. And there's the Ejirek doing his little jumping, rolling tricks. And here's where he took her. The Ejirek replied, we are in my special hiding place. Here no one will ever find us. They hid. They hid for a long time. The Ejirek beamed with pride at being such a good hider. Lunchtime came and went, and still no one found them. The Ejirek laughed and cackled and sang his little song. He was having such a wonderful time. But Elishua was getting hungry. She decided that no one would ever find them again, and that it suited the Ejirek just fine. She said, I want to go home now. The Ejirek replied, but they haven't found us yet. I am hungry and I want to go home now, Elishua insisted. Well, you can't, the Ejirek said, getting annoyed at Elishua. Now we know why she looks like this. Elishua wanted to go home. She was getting awfully hungry, and now she missed her mother too. But the Ejirek was not going to let her go home. Then she had a terrific idea. She looked straight at the Ejirek and said to him, you look funny. The Ejirek looked at her and said, don't look at me. But Elishua kept right on staring at him. Your nose is crooked, she said, teasing the Ejirek. The Ejirek's face turned red. He was so shy, but Elishua kept staring straight at him. She could not look away now. If she did, she knew he would disappear. Don't look at me, he said again. So here she is. She's gonna stare at him until something changes. clumsy little oaf, always tripping over things, she said. Don't stare at me, he said. His face was red hot. Only if you take me home, she said. No, he said again. Red face, reddest in the human race, na, 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 na. Elishua teased. Well, the jerk was so shy he could not stand it any longer. He said, Okay, I'll take you home, but don't stare at me anymore. Wow, look at this. His face is so red. Wow. They left the cave. They skipped again until they came to the tiny creek. There were the fish again, their fins sticking up out of the shallow water. Even before her feet touched the water, Elishua knew something was going to happen, but it was too late. She did not dare take her eyes away from the Ejurek. They jumped into the water. The fish jumped up, splashing water everywhere. The water splashed on Elishua's dress. It splashed on Elishua's hair. It splashed on Elishua's eyes. Elishua blinked. When she opened her eyes, the Ejurek was gone. Poof! Gone. Just like that. So here they are walking across the water, and the water's splashing, and she's got no choice. It just happens. Welcome. She has to blink. And he was gone. Elishua looked around, but the Ejurek was nowhere to be found. Elishua was alone. And she didn't know where she was. She was lost. Elishua began to cry. Wah, I want my mommy. Wah, I want to go home. She cried for a long time, but no one came. She cried until her eyes turned as red as the Ejurek's hot face. She cried until she had no cry left in her body. Then, finally, she stopped crying. I'll just show you one more time where they were walking through the water. Elishua did not know what to do. She looked all around, way far away, so far she could hardly see it. There was a black dot on a hill. It was the only thing she saw on the horizon. Elishua wondered what it was. She said to herself, I am going to go there. She started to walk. She walked across a field of cotton grass. The black dot on the hill looked a little bigger. She skipped around a lake. Now the black dot on the hill seemed to be standing. She skipped and danced across a large rocky field. Now the dot looked like a man standing on the hill. She went up the hill and walked over to it. It was an Kusugak standing quietly looking out over the land and sea. She said, I have seen this Kusugak before. She looked around to where the Kusugak was looking. There was a river, there was the sea and the land, and way down on the shore, there was a tent. So here she is, way across the field, and in the distance, way far away on the hill, is the black dot. And if you get closer, you see it has a look of a nookshook, as we call it. So there was the river, there was the sea and the land, and way down on the shore there was a tent. She looked and looked at the tent. It was her tent. She was so happy. She said thank you to the Kusugak and skipped and ran all the way home. Her mother and father and brothers and sisters were so happy to see her. They hugged her and kissed her and asked, "Where have you been, Elishua? We have been worried about you." "On the other side of the hill, playing hide and seek," she replied. She told them about playing hide and seek. She told them about the Krykorka, and she told them about being lost. Then she asked her father, "Father, what is an Kusugak for?" "To help you find your way home," he replied. She said, "You know what, Father? It works." So happy to see her in their summer home on the Arctic. When Elishua saw her friends again, they said she was such a good hider. They had looked for her everywhere, but they could not find her. Elishua was pretty proud. She still loved to play hide and seek, and she still was not very good at it. But she really didn't mind. There were always butterflies to chase and tiny bugs to look at, and it was fun anyway. And she always sang a little song. "Hide and sneak, how I love to hide and sneak. I hide and you seek. You won't find me for a week." And she never, ever saw an Krykorka again. Krykorkas are so hard to see, just like the ptarmigan in the summer. And then it ends with Tamai, which must mean the end. So this was hide and sneak. I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a really good evening. Sweet dreams. Love you. Jesus keep you. We'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Sleep well. Thanks for watching. Bye.